Okay, everybody settle down, settle down. Oh, Bucket, is that a new suit? It looks good on you. Anyway, everybody settle down, settle down. Thank you for coming. Now, me and Rehash were discussing the possibilities of making new gents for the show, and we want some feedback on some of the fandoms we've been looking into to make gents out of. Okay, so first one is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Okay, while I don't necessarily have a problem with Foster's, how would we be able to tell it's from Foster's? How would it be distinguished from literally anything else? Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is literally the imagination is the limit. So anyone could be from Foster's. I could be from Foster's. You could be. So how would it be distinguished? Okay, valid response. I'll just put a note right here. We'll put a pin in that and talk about it later. Okay, next up, Ben 10.
Well, I think that's a fantastic idea. Are you crazy? We'd never be able to stop making OCs for Ben 10. Because you know, and I know, you would give it an Omnitrix.
It is true. And of course, if you give it an Omnitrix, you would have to make alien OCs, which means you would be constantly pumping out more and more vectors for that one OC while leaving us all to dry. Okay, I'm just gonna say no to the Ben 10 OC. So, how about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power?
Well, that depends. Do you have a reliable female voice actress? Because there's no way you're making that OC a boy.
Is that why me, Fossil Fuel, no see Gem Sona running around? Me Fossil Fuel want to crush puny Gem Sona.
We don't even have a voice actress for Citrus Girl yet. Well, I guess I could provide a more feminine voice, but we can only do that for maybe one character.
I think you're putting too much thought into it. After all, look who I have lined up for our Has-Been Hotel OC.
Oh, you brought somebody in and oh wow, I do not think I could show that on YouTube.
With a design like that, no one would even notice she doesn't speak. Hell, you're speechless, aren't you? Oh, this is the amazing digital circus.
The episode begins with everybody coming back from yet another high-stakes adventure where Pomni is pretty much dead. If she could die in this game, she would be definitely dead now. Ragatha does try to put a positive spin on it, but words are not reaching this poor little jester.
We do trail off for a bit with a mysterious creature in the far corner, but we don't linger on it very long, as Kane goes over to Zubul as he checks his notes, which are shockingly bee-themed. What's with all the obsession with bees Kane has?
I refuse to believe, from all the inspiration and all the creative thinking, that this bee thing is just a running gag.
Well, speaking of running gags, here's Zubul pissing off Kane once more, but he immediately corrects himself.
Okay, this particular instant needs to be talked about. Why is Zubul purposely tempting Kane? Why? She knows full well from episode 3 that if Kane becomes too unstable and breaks down, the entire digital circus could go up in flames. So why is she intentionally pissing him off? I know she is sarcastic, but there is such a thing as self-preservation.
Ha! Nice! I didn't think you had a sense of humor.
Well, Kane decides to summon everybody for a house meeting as he goes over ideas that he has for future adventures for them to give him some feedback on what they would desire, including, but not limited to, getting killed off in a chocolate factory due to OSHA violations, going to war with the US military and a living cardiovascular system, and nuclear fallout with a talking dog that's mean to him the entire time. That sounds like just New Vegas.
While I would love to go to that chocolate factory OSHA violation ones, it doesn't appear that his ideas are vibing with his guests. Pomni suggests a more subdued adventure where nothing bad happens, but Kane protests this.
You can't tell a compelling story where nothing bad happens. Where's the intrigue? The stakes?
Not to mention the sex appeal.
What are you talking about?
Well, if it's sex appeal you want, I'll go get that has-been hotel OC.
No! But then, Zooble shocks everybody by saying that the last adventure from the suggestion box, she didn't hate. Pomni actually liked it really too. Kane is taken aback and asks everybody else what they thought of it, and it's mixed results. Kane then is flustered, saying how could he make a good adventure if he doesn't know what everybody wants, because everybody wants different things. And Zooble points out, well, why not just keep the adventures more free range and open-ended? Which, yeah, Kane doesn't really want to do because of AI reasons. But he isn't opposed to suggestion box adventures. So he decides to go for a lightning round, where they just go through every suggestion in the suggestion box, and he gathers the raw data of which one's good, which one's bad, and which one's meh, and then go with that moving forward. And so they're off on another adventure.
Wait, didn't they just get back from one?
Yeah, that's part of the joke. So the first one up is a Jack suggestion. Yay! And his suggestion is he poaches animal versions of all of his friends. Yeah, that checks out for Jax. That definitely checks out for Jax.
Me, Fossil Fuel, want to play that game too! Run, Beauty Gent, run!
Ah!
It not long before Zooble call for vote and make Jack vegan and they skip adventure. Jack says that they can't do that, but they vote and now he is puny vegan. And he must go to next adventure, where Pomni is president!
Another Jack suggestion, where he throws Pomni into a position of power, authority, and gives her absolutely no information on what's going on, just to see what happens.
Are we just going to sit on this couch and ignore the baby headlamp?
Did I pick a bad time?
His acting is phenomenal. It's hard to believe he's vegan.
You know, you two are being awfully generous with the amount of clips that you're just letting slide.
Well, there's nothing big right now for any of us really to talk about.
When something actually happens that's actually worth chatting about, we'll tone down the clips.
So after not one, but two bomb jokes, which only one of them actually detonated, we cut to the next adventure, which is a anime-style, slice-of-life high school drama. Okay, Gangle, I know this one was yours.
Honestly, seeing him in this art style is not only refreshing, but I kind of wish that the show was in this art style.
That's mostly because of your healthy obsession with 2D animation, you fucking loser! But a large part of the scene that makes it so good for us is all the little background details, from the self-promotion of their other products to also references throughout the entire series thus far we can see in the background. But sadly it doesn't go on for very long, as we cut to the next adventure. Stargazing? What a delightfully nice activity! They couldn't have picked something more boring. I mean, honestly, not even fireworks, just stargazing.
Hey, Bucket, calm down. At the very least, they can actually just sit down, rest, and, for the first time, actually develop character and talk. Specifically with Jax, as Jax actually starts opening up, asking questions that he hadn't normally asked in the past, like, can Gangle actually be happy? He seems to be opening up to Pomni more than anyone else. And I think that's mostly because, well, Pomni's the newest and, well, he hasn't really been that much of a jerk to. Not to the full extent that all the others know him as. It's here they could have had a moment where they actually open up to each other, but in comes Ragatha, and she has to throw her 2 cents in. And of course, the walls go right back up the moment Ragatha steps in. But Pomni is still in that vulnerable state, and asks Jax, does he even have any actual friends?
Do you have any actual friends? Not anymore.
Damn! That was a low blow! No one should tolerate that kind of nonsense!
But it was still pretty funny. Like, damn, did you see the look on his face?
Clearly that comment was not intentional. It was just an accidental slip of the tongue. Even if it did hurt Jax's feelings, I do not believe that Ragatha needs to apologize for this one specifically. Keep in mind, this is the same rabbit man who dumped her in a deep fryer in the previous episode, and then threw Gangle's mask into the horror room and crashed the truck into a chocolate river. Any amount of sympathy that I might have for him has long since died. Well, after making such a insensitive comment unintentionally, Ragatha does try to backtrack, but ultimately decides to just say, "Fuck this shit, I'm out," and skip on the situation, leaving Jack and Pomni to contemplate what just happened. We then get a funny little moment with Pomni and Jax, as it does seem like the two of them could actually develop some level of a friendship. Ragging on Ragatha, Pomni forcing Jax to open up, Jax actually willing to open up, and the funny realization that somehow his tail disappeared. Which is an odd detail, gotta make note of that for later. But all things considered, this is a very enjoyable scene. A scene that is also witnessed by other prying eyes.
Kane and the Moon actually recognize that the players are actually enjoying themselves for once. Not doing anything, and not involving him whatsoever. And this starts to freak him out.
I think after this, maybe we could...
Wait a minute! That's a bad thing!
Explain to Daddy Bubble how bad thing.
I think that... Don't say that. I think they're enjoying the suggestion box adventures more than the me adventures! What should I do?
You should die. You should throw a beach party.
Why do you swear now?
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. For starters, Bubble swearing and then getting censored when he told Kane to kill himself. Is that a sign of Bubble rebellion, or is it just Bubble instincts? Because he did have that static effect whenever something Kane doesn't like happens to him. Is Kane influencing Bubble in any way? Or is he just Kane's inner thoughts? It's difficult to tell.
And once again, that weird joke with the Moon longing for Kane came back. Except this time it was a lot more subdued, tame, calm. Less like a joke and more like an actual person talking. Which once again, I bring up the connection between Kinger and Kane. With Kinger only being able to think properly when it's dark out, and Kane seeming to have this weird affection where the Moon and the darkness wants Kane. I swear, there's something between these two.
But I think the biggest takeaway here is the fact that Kane seems to have some level of, well, it's not some level, huge amounts of pride and ego that makes him want to be involved with everything his players do. He's like a dungeon master, except the dungeon master would rather tell a story than let his players play the game. At that point, just write a book. Kane gives off the impression of the intrusive DM, a DM that can't let his players have fun unless he is responsible for that fun. This isn't about just following programming and helping people. This is an ego trip.
Well, because Kane can't take the idea that the players are having fun without him, we get this weird-ass, trippy intermission segment.
Which is incredible, a whole lot of fun. All of this chaos wrapped into one long package of intrusive thoughts.
And there's clearly a little bit of biblical imagery going on in here. I mean, did you see that eyeball scene with the cane?
Yeah, and we also get a lot of lore in this as well. As we see Jax running by at the very end, but then stops when he stops at a certain room with an X'd out frog character. And we see the eyes of the dead staring at it, so we can only assume that this is a character who abstracted. But then it's all cut away when Zubul goes to Kane and asks, "What the fuck are we doing?"
And Kane just kind of floats there without any real explanation. And then we move on. Okay, this one didn't actually come with a name, but it does come with a nice theme of a noir bar.
Give me a whiskey sour, but hold the egg white, since I'm a vegan. What? I hate this! How is this even possible? I thought Kane couldn't—
Yeah, I know that's supposed to be some kind of big revelation that Kane can actually influence their minds, at least at some level. But really, we guessed this shit all the way back in the second or third episode.
Oh, Cynthia, you are just simply on it this episode. Well, Jax tries to call for a vote on Zooble, but nobody's in the mood to see a slug of Zooble, so they vote against him. And then they all enter the bar. They all sit down and they each want a drink. It's here we learn that Zooble was actually a bartender before entering the circus. And she was also a tattoo artist.
And Gangle does reveal what we already know about her, that she was a manga artist, but failed, so she went into fast food. But we also know that she went into graphic design in community college. We learn that Pomni is a data analyst for a sales company, and she does small-time YouTube videos as she explores random buildings, which also gives us a subtle hint of how she got in this predicament to begin with, as well as Zooble because she also does the hobby, just not the YouTubing part. Jax is of course an ass and doesn't bother saying anything, and Kinger can't say anything because he doesn't even know. But apparently they did know about his wife.
Which leaves Ragatha. Ragatha gives us the most information with very little, showing that she is a Nepo baby, coming from a rich family, and having horses and large plants of land. And she also went into real estate, which made her even more rich. But she also has a very, very, very strained relationship with her mother, which now explains her people-pleasing personality. Though she does make the mood a little awkward, and she tries to set the tone moving forward.
What?
Well, that was just as good of a segue as I've ever heard.
Okay, so Pomni and Zooble explore abandoned buildings in their free time for mild thrills. That's how they got stuck in the circus. And Ragatha was possibly trying to sell the land and the building, which is how she got stuck in the circus. It still questions out on Gangle, but that just leaves Jack and Kinger. Kinger being there the longest, he could have been the one helping develop the game. But still, what is the issue with Jax?
Jax's past is being purposely hidden. He clearly has something more to do with the circus than what he's allowing anyone to know. If he's human or not is irrelevant. He's clearly hiding big details.
It could be that Gangle was pulled in to help design some of the characters, possibly as a favor.
Logical, but I will wait and see.
Well, shockingly enough, the atmosphere allows Jax to let the mask slip just a little bit to apologize to Pomni for that surprise presidency scandal. I guess he just wanted to see what she would do. She forgives him, reluctantly, but this causes him to go into asshole mode once more, rubbing it into Ragatha's face that he and her are growing together, much to Ragatha's brain destruction.
Ragatha then desperately tries to bond with Pomni immediately after, but bombs pretty hard. Like, epically hard. But we do learn something about Jax. He's afraid of corn.
I'm sure there's an in-universe tragic backstory, epic drama of why he's afraid of corn, but at this point, I'm just glad Zooble has something to use against that little asshole. Me fossil fuels say, vegetables evil! Don't trust vegetables!
Well, this was a good scene, but unfortunately, Kane's attention span is about as, well, long as fossil fuels here. So it's on to the next adventure, which is softball.
Softball too boring! Play boxing instead!
I can't believe I'm being forced to agree with the walking dictionary here. Wouldn't that make him a thesaurus?
I'm not even playing the cricket tunes for that one.
So we round up the lightning rounds with a game of softball where the heroes go up against evil versions of themselves in a game. Except for Gangle. For some reason, Gangle doesn't get an evil club.
Ragatha's up to bat first, and she actually manages to hit a home run. Unfortunately, the evil Pomni manages to catch it before it lands, so she's out. Jax laughs, and everybody decides to punish him by voting to put him in a maid outfit.
As if being a vegan wasn't enough.
And for somebody whose whole identity is to be an asshole to everybody else, he certainly can't take a joke when the joke's on him.
Well, this causes him to decide to not give any effort into the softball game, and he deliberately gets an out.
Gangle's up next, but we don't focus on her, as we focus on Ragatha, Jack, and Pomni sitting on the bench, and they get into a bit of an argument. Jax is being Jax, and Ragatha is finally losing her temper completely after Pomni told her it's okay to act like a jerk. But she's clearly taking it too far, and even Pomni's telling her to calm down. And after snapping at Pomni, she immediately retracts herself and apologizes. And when Jax asks for his apology, she does. But she doesn't apologize for bursting out. She apologizes for bringing up whatever it is that made Jax upset in the stargazing area. Okay, I'm sorry to any Jax fans out there, but I really can't take his trauma seriously considering how he's treating everybody else. Like, yeah, everybody processes grief and depression in their own way, but his is straight up abusing everybody else to the point of tears. So I can't take his pain seriously when he's done so much problems for everybody else.
Okay, clearly somebody died in Jax's life, and that causes him to do this, but let's be real. That death does not justify him abusing the living. Does he have a mailing address? I'd like to send him an application so he could qualify for an internship at my evil organization.
So after that awkward face-off, Pomni asks if Jax wants to talk, but he refuses, and they get jump-scared by Corn. Ragatha does feel a little bit better, though, especially after Gangle apparently hit a home run thanks to all of Ragatha's advice from the earlier episode. So, yay, continuity!
It is then Zubal's turn up to bat, and she shows absolutely no mercy to her doppelganger, striking her out but hitting a home run at the same time. But then it is Pomni's turn up to bat, but she gives it to Ragatha to redeem herself. But when it's her turn to bat, there is no one to pitch, and it is counted as a home run. That is very illogical.
Well, it was only one single inning, but they won the game, I suppose. And so everything's good. And everything reverts back to normal as this was the last one.
Wait, this was the last one in the suggestion box? They only had, like, what?
I suppose so. But while everybody is a winner, Ragatha doesn't feel like she got a victory, as it's clear that Pomni is starting to align more with Jax than with her.
Huh? Oh, cool. I'm not a vegan anymore.
Oh, hey! Wait, what are you...
Okay, very valid crash out.
I don't understand. You were just hating on Jax a second ago. Why the change of heart?
Okay, look, Symphy. Just because he's a terrible person doesn't mean I don't enjoy his character. I do enjoy bad characters who do bad things. It makes the story more interesting. It's okay to enjoy a character and not like a person. Heck, most of our cast right now is supervillains and chaos drivers.
And so the lightning round is over. Kane is ecstatic at the idea that they hated the suggestion box and must submit to his adventures, but it seems to have a bit of the opposite effect. But more importantly than that, it seems that Ragatha and Pomni's relationship seems to be a little bit more strained as Jax starts taking Pomni under his wing. Whether it's intentionally trying to sabotage her and Ragatha, or he's genuinely developing a connection towards Pomni is unclear. But all we know for certain is that Ragatha is very much insecure about Pomni hanging out with Jax.
But little does anyone, including Kane, know that all their interactions are being watched by a mannequin.
Wait, do you think that's a player?
Who cares? It's a mannequin. Kane did say something about NPCs and possibly going into this world and him confusing the two.
Again, mannequin. If it was Gummy Goo, the Candy Princess, or even the ghosts, I might have been interested. But so far, all the mannequins have been doing is just one-off jokes, so I don't care until it does something.
And that was the amazing digital circus. And honestly, this might be the most fun episode thus far.
The first half of the episode got me, I will admit. It felt like a filler episode where it'd just be random adventures. But the moment the stargazing took place, that's when the episode started to really take off.
It seems as though they're laying the groundwork to change Jax from an irredeemable jackass to everyone to a sympathetic villain. Me personally, I don't care too much for sympathetic villains, but as long as the sympathy doesn't detract from everything he's done, then yes, I can approve of it. Though not without kicking and screaming about it.
Me fossil fuel likes so many stories at once. It's like flipping through TV channels. Me fossil fuel want more!
And we also get to see a lot more of Kane and his slowly breakdown into madness over his insecurities. It's good storytelling!
Now let's stop tiptoeing around the real biggie, and let's talk about that bar scene, where we finally get some backstory on all of the characters and not just one by one, but all at once. Now we can theorize how they managed to get into the digital circus in the first place. With the odd one out being Jax, as he didn't explain his backstory, but hey, you gotta leave something for the imagination. And let's not forget the mystery NPC in the background,
who has appeared in the background of multiple episodes before, but this was the first time that they've actually drawn attention to it.
Yes! Kane will be destroyed by the very creations he helped create and
But we're gonna have to wait till next time in order to get any more answers. So until then, I'm Cartoon Gent.
I'm Rehash.
I'm Decipher.
You may call me Devin Urs.
I'm Bucket.
We're Bucket.
My designation is Symphonic Symphony.
Me fossil fuel!
And we'll see you next time.